Hello guys, I think now is probably a good time to do somewhat of a summary video of the various tools sold on AliExpress to pick these type of generic Euro cylinders. And this video somewhat gives you a Cliff Note version of, or a summation of all the other tool evaluations that I've done in prior videos over the years. So this was the first tool that I purchased that picks these kind of locks, and it has some quality control disappointments about it. Mine was received with a lot of indentations on it, really poor quality control. One of the problems I don't like about this tool is the fact that the further you get away from the pins, the harder it is to feel pin set. And that's a problem with any kind of pick. The further your hand gets away from a disc or a pin, the harder it is to feel. And this has a lot of slop in it, and that may not necessarily be a bad thing because I found that some of these keyways have slight variations in width. So that extra little slop can sometimes be advantageous. And this tool does have a handle on it. It may interfere with some door jams. That's always going to be a problem, and perhaps that was one of the reasons why AliExpress came out with this version right here. And the problem with this tool is that I had to file away material in order for it to properly seat into one of my locks. And so this tool was really not universal. And I was very interested in the way they designed this from a 3mm ejector pin. I believe this is my version of this tool because I made this from an ejector pin and I made it shorter, whereas the factory one is much longer. And the more longer you make that, the more flexing there is. Do these two tools work? Yeah, they do, but it's not a fun pick and it's not reliable. And the major shortcoming from this tool, this red one, is the fact your hand gets tired on this knob. And to me, that's just unacceptable. I ended up making a custom deal right here that fits over this to give you more torque. And again, the problem with this is that I made it too long so that it would interfere with some doors, depending on what direction you're picking in. But AliExpress can't seem to get away from these aluminum tools. They just keep creeping out of China, and they're just, to me, unreliable. They're not fun. And then they came out with this latest version right here. Huge knob. Boy, this really dulls down a lot of pick set sensitivity. And to make matters worse, they made the pick where you pick from the right side of the pin stack. And that's just, to me, a horrible idea because it really makes it hard to set pins for some reason. And then this pin right here, it flexes. You can't put too much torque. I just can't pick very many locks with this. I end up changing the set screws on here for comfort, but to me, it's just a case of preference. But overall, I give this tool probably like a C, C minus. It's just not a consistent, fun pick. These numbers here mean nothing. In fact, all the numbers they put on these tools really mean nothing. Any of you who ever pick these type of locks, you don't look at the numbers. And I know that AliExpress has really gone overboard when it comes to these impression type tools. I'll never really understand them. To me, it takes too long, and I would never want to have a piece of foil stuck in a lock. Then they came out with this tool right here. This is a leashy style pick, and when I first reviewed this tool, I gave it an F, but then I later wrote on my own video that I improved the rating a little bit because I found that you can pick with it if you pick in the counterclockwise direction. Unfortunately, again, because it has a little tiny head, it tends to flex too much, and Yes, you can pick locks with it, but only in the counterclockwise direction, and just not reliable, not satisfying. So all these tools are just a joke. Why AliExpress doesn't come up with something much more simplified is beyond me. And that's where I bring into this older design that I made. Here I have a piece of 301 steel, stainless steel that I made, and this has a removable stubby dimple pick that I made. And it's easy to cradle in and out, and essentially works in about 95% of the locks without a problem. And the reason why I say 95% because there are some locks that have tolerances that are slightly different in the keyway. But this lock really a little more difficult to pick because it has a lot of deep pins in it, and some of them are under pin wear. But just a lot easier to use this tool when compared to these other style tools. And again, the setback on my tool is that the handle would probably interfere with some door jambs. Let's see if I can get this guy going. This lock is actually my stress test lock because, again, it has some really deep set pins that are subject to wear, and the tolerances are a little tighter on this lock for some reason. So I really have to go over it quite a few times to get that one stubborn pin. And yeah, I know this lock, so I know the nuances of it. And whether I'll be able to do a successful pick within an 8-minute video, that remains to be seen. Well, we'll try anyway. There we go. And this, by the way, happens to be a cylinder that has a spring-loaded cam, which means that even if you pick the lock, the cam won't turn unless you push in that cam. And that's the problem I have with a lot of lock picking videos, is that you guys are using locks that either don't have spring-loaded cams, or you're just not talking about the fact that, hey, this lock really won't open up in the field because of that cam. It's not being depressed. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope this video gives you a nice summation of some of the things that you can buy. But by all means, guys, this by far is the best tool that erases all of this garbage. And I'll put that in camera. All of this garbage. Have a great day, guys. Thank you for watching.